What's up, boys and girls? Welcome back to Expression Culture, here with me, Gareth, the Honda Guru. Today we are going to be fitting brakes on my Jazz over there. So no work on the CRZ today, which is good because it doesn't need any work doing to it. So yeah, I've had these brakes a while now actually. Hasn't needed them doing really, but it's never going to do it any harm doing it. I'd rather do it now, just before winter sets in, than go through winter and actually need to do the brakes and then have to do them on the floor, because obviously that's where I work on my vehicles. So yeah, we've got blueprint pads and discs all round, apart from the fronts are Omnicraft. Now Omnicraft is a all makes range from Ford. I work for Ford. Sorry if the wind's a bit picking up a bit. So yeah, I work for Ford, and that's our new all makes range. Now sadly, because it's still kind of in development, I couldn't get pads and discs all round in Omnicraft, but they were considerably cheaper. The only thing they actually do for my Jazz is the front discs, not the pads, which is a bit stupid, but yeah, they're still in development at the moment. So what I'm going to do, basically I wanted to try them, see what they're like for myself, because obviously I sell these products, being a parts telesales specialist for Ford. So yeah, I sell these, so I thought it was a good idea to give them a go and see what my opinion is on them. Let's go. Right, so here are some of the products I've got. Omnicraft discs at the bottom. That's the part number, which is obviously a Ford finish number. But as you can see, that fits a few of the old Honda's rear discs. Blueprint part number, there'll be this one here, the long one there. Actually rear pads, again the ADH number. Front pads, again the ADH number. Rear fitting kit, front fitting kit. Also comes with new boots as well, which is pretty cool. See whether we need to change them out, because these pan part ones generally sometimes aren't as good. And then new disc retaining screws, stainless steel, Allen key ones, better than the Phillips head ones that you get from factory. So, car's now on the driveway. I've just taken the brake fluid reservoir cap off. I'll show you a nice little access to that, most people don't know about. Pull this trim off, you get access to obviously the cap, which would normally be on there. That's just that trim there. Sweet. Fluid's a bit dark. I'll see if I find time as well to do that as well, if I've got enough brake fluid. So yeah, I'm gonna now get some chocks for the wheels and get the front jacked up. So rather than trying to get a screw in here and undoing these, choose a point and you make a divot. Someone's already done that on these, and then what you do is you then spin it. So what we would normally do in this instance is put between the edge of the disc and the actual screw, make your divot, and then use that to undo them. See, someone's already done me a favour. And then you should be able to get them off of the disc with a screwdriver easily. But I got lucky there because someone's already done it. Yeah, you see just the rust on the end of it. That's been then dragged through from the back of the disc We'll pop them down there. I won't reuse them. Oh, that one's going to be a trouble. You're going to be trouble. Might be a bit naughty. Shouldn't really do this, but hey, power tools are your friends. Right, so that's the disc now free. Well, we say free, it could be still seized in place. Because whoever's been in there has used copper grease, which obviously industry standard nowadays. We don't do that. So what I'm doing now, I'm just putting a socket on the back, just putting it on lightly and trying to wiggle it in just till it's all the way at the back, till it's freed up all the rust. So the Spitfire's out again.
It's already been over.
Yeah, I did see it earlier. I was just sort of mentioning it to the camera. That's what you want to hear, just break it off. Do the same on the bottom. So they're now free. You can undo that with a ratchet, save the hassle. I don't know why I'm actually trying to teach people how to do brakes, but so that's so loose now that I can undo that with my fingers. So now we just want to, the caliper will be free, so best way to do it, pull from the top and then from the bottom it'll just be pulled off. Out. Oh. So our bottom slider might be a bit stuck, which might be why I think this is a bit warped. There we go. So you want to hang this somewhere, so just so it's not hanging on the cable. So I'll just put it on the track arm, just like that. There's a little release spring here that just helps the pads move freely. The pads are free. Jesus Christ. Okay, I think we might have found the, yeah, these should move freely. That'll be the next step. Obviously pads come out. There's loads of life still on them actually, really, but seeing as I'm in here, I'm going to replace it with blueprint. Good.
Like for like.
Well, yeah. I should have done blueprint discs really, but you know, I'd put them on Facebook Marketplace. Someone might buy them. That was a little bit stiff in there, to be honest. And they're wearing evenly. Just a bit of a fucking shitty disc, really. Oh. These haven't been off in a while. Oh. There we go. So, as I expected, the disc is seized to the hub. So what I'm doing now, I'm just putting a couple of wheel nuts on. We'll put all four on, just so it doesn't go anywhere, because I'm going to hit it hard. So using a Thor hammer, just like that. And by putting the nuts on here, that stopped it from going anywhere. Landed on my foot. That's the disc now free. Obviously I've taken the carrier off. It's just two 17mm bolts. Yeah, I mean we've got grooves, so it's good to replace it. Definitely good to replace it. So we'll pop these over here in a minute, because we want to use that to compare to our old ones. And what really we want to do is clean this surface up as well. So just you want to get a wire brush in there and clean it up, just so you've got a nice flat surface for the new disc to bolt to. And obviously put a bit of grease on there, not copper grease. Try not to use copper grease on brakes, people. If you use copper grease, your brakes get hot. They don't have as high as operating temperature as other what I use is like a ceramic grease. Basically what happens is once they get hot, once the grease boils away, all you're left with is the copper, which seizes. It's alright to use on like bolt threads and stuff like that, but not on stuff that gets hot. So yeah, we'll clean that up. We'll go clean the carrier up now as well, and we'll find out why those slider pins are stuck. Right, so as you can see, I've freed these off now a little bit, but they're still tight. Now, I can see a bit of copper grease there. Ah, for fuck's sake. This is why you do not use copper grease. It's full of copper grease. For Christ's sake. Look, you know, even though it's free, people are just idiots. They're so... oh god. Well, someone's used the right stuff in there at some point. You should be using red rubber grease on these. So these have got to be removed. Got all new ones to go on. It's worth noting which side has the spring in it. So they've got the little springs on them to help return it. So I've just cleaned up the discs with brake cleaner. I'm just gonna put an anti-rust primer on it. I'll just do that to stop them rusting. Once that's dry, I'll hit it with some silver brakes paint. Now I've cleaned off all the grease, copper grease that shouldn't have been in there, off both the side of pins. Please pay attention when doing this. One of these has a bush on it and it needs to go in the right one. So you can see inside the bores now, they're all nice and clean. So we're going to use red rubber grease, which is used, as it says, ideal for use on hydraulics braking systems. This is what we're going to use, and then we will be using this one on all of the contact points of the brake pads. Cool. As you can see, I've just put brand new gaiters in. They're not quite as soft as the genuine Honda ones. I nearly said Ford. So now what we want to do is put grease on these. Now you don't want to use too much. Just get your finger, that's actually too much. And you just want to use a small amount. Spread it thin, bit on the end as well. You don't want to go too crazy. Just like that. Keep it nice and thin. All this is doing is lubricating and keeping it from seizing. So, in we go. Push slowly. Boot will compress and pop straight in. Look at that. It returns. That's the biggest thing you need it to do. It needs to return on its own. Just make sure you pack that bush up a little bit as well. I always put a bit more on the end of this one and then I smear it. Same again. This one sometimes can be a bit more fiddly because of the bush. Once it's started, it'll be fine. Just compress it like that, and again it just returns on its own. Double good 'em. So these generally are used for the rear, but I don't have a brake pad spreader, but this does the job fine. So that's why I use the brake pad, so you can evenly distribute the load across the piston and it doesn't go back crooked. The brake fluid reservoir is off, as I showed you at the beginning of the video. It'll go back fairly easy once you get it in the right point. Just straight off. Obviously I've used an old brake pad to do that because you don't want to damage the new one. Alright, so that's ready. I'll put that back over there, so it's not stressing that brake line more than what I've just stressed it, probably doing that. I'm going to put a bit of contact grease around here, a bit of ceramic grease, just to stop it from seizing again. And then I'm going to put the disc on, pull the new nuts in, and then we'll go from there. Right, so boots are now in, all greased up. I've cleaned up these contact points, it's a good thing to do. And now we need to just install the new shims. So we just pop that in, make sure you line everything up. I'll put it the wrong way around for a start. But on a car, I mean, I try to always replace the hardware. It's good practice, and you never know sort of how the other stuff is unless you've obviously done it prior. But there are, you know, a few quid each. Girls, that's one side completed, as you can see, all done. I don't want to go into it too much. Like, I'm sure everyone that's into cars knows how to change brakes. Whether they know how to change brakes properly, there's two things. But I'm sure everyone knows how to change brakes, and I'm sure everyone doesn't really want to go too much into this. So I'm going to do the other side. I'm not going to film that, and then I'll pick the camera back up when I come to do the rears. Right, boys and girls, the front's all done. The trouble is when doing disc and pads is you go for a drive in them, they feel like shit. Because obviously you've got the softer compound on top of the brake pad, which is the braking in material. So yeah, it doesn't feel any better. Looks good though. Yeah, it looks much nicer. See a nice new disc in there. You can see why I paint the sort of like bell of the disc. Yeah. And then the other side all done as well. So that's just the rears now to do. Right, boys and girls, there's one corner done on the rear. Same sort of thing. The only thing that's different really is you've got the obviously the handbrake to contend with. I always unbolt them here from the axle, just to give more movement and make sure everything's just nice and free. Yep, one more to go. Well, boys and girls, that's done. All four corners done, disc and pads all around, new hardware. Didn't change the brake fluid today because when I went to look at the brake fluid I had left, it's been open longer than what I would like. So that'll have to be another day. So yeah, that's all done. Another video in the bag. Does brake better, even though they're still bedding in. It looks better as well, better than rusty brakes. That's the main reason I was changing them actually, because the pads on them weren't really that worn. It was more the discs that were slightly worn and corroded. So it just gives the car a better look, as you've seen in the other shots. The rears fought me a little bit, as they seem to on all older cars. On the rear calipers, they always seem to fight me a little bit. So a bit of corrosion. And I couldn't undo one of the handbrake cables on one side where it fixes to the axle, which is a similar problem I had to the CRZ before replacing it, everything. So yeah, I struggled with that a little bit. So yeah, thank you for watching. I know it's not the most informative video, it was just more what I've been up to. I don't like going too into how-tos because as you'll appreciate, a lot of technicians do things slightly different. So yeah, I'm chatting shit. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to Danny for sponsoring the channel as usual. Go check out some of my followers that also have YouTube channels. Type R Tweaks, Robster VTech, obviously Cowabunga Car Diaries. Those boys are amazing. So glad I finally got to meet them after so many years. FN2 Ops, Modfix. There are a few that I really like, actually. Good lads. Danny Darnday's built a great community, mainly FN2 related. Also I break mold slightly. And so does Ben from Cowabunga Car Diaries with his S2000. So, until the next video, boys and girls, have a lovely time whatever you're doing. Peace out. No, don't do that. That's a bloody Cowabunga Car Diaries thing. I keep doing that recently. Don't do that. Have a wonderful time. Stay safe. Keep smiling. There's a little bird. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.